right, boys and girls, today we're gonna make some fall trees. And these trees are gonna be like the leaves have all fallen off. They're bare trees. It's almost winter time. So that's what we're gonna draw today. And then we get to add some patterns and color. So I'm gonna flip my paper over to a clean and blank page. And I want it to be facing portrait style. That's tall like a portrait. So what I'm gonna draw now is I'm gonna draw some lines to make my trees. So we're gonna use pretty much lines that go side to side. Those are called horizontal. We're gonna use vertical lines that go from up to down. And then we're also gonna use some diagonal lines that go from corner to corner. So we're gonna use those lines to make our trees. We're gonna outline them and add some pattern, and then we get to paint and add color. So the first thing we're gonna draw is the ground, where the ground is. And we're gonna put the ground right at the bottom. So I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna draw a line side to side at the bottom. So I go at the edge of the page, and I'm gonna go to the other edge of the page and draw my line, just like that. Okay? Now I'm gonna add some lines that go from up to down. These are gonna be my tree trunks, and I'm gonna add them in pairs. Pairs mean two. So I'm gonna add two lines side by side that go up to down, and then I'm gonna skip a space and draw a second pair and a third pair. When lines go side by side and never ever cross, we call these lines parallel. That's a big word. You'll learn that later in school. So I'm gonna start near the edge, and I'm gonna draw my first pair of vertical lines. So they go from up to down, and they stop right where the ground is, and then I add a second line. Remember, they're in pairs. So there's one tree trunk. Then I move over and I draw a second tree trunk. And then I move over and I add a third tree trunk. You can add as many tree trunks as you want. So now I have 3 trunks. They don't look like trees yet. They just kind of look like lines. So now the fun part. I get to add my branches. Now branches grow up towards the sky because trees like sun. So we're gonna draw our branches going up, and they're gonna go up at a diagonal. Can you guys practice the diagonal with me? They can also go this way too. So now I'm gonna do pairs of lines again, but they're gonna go from the tree trunk off to the side. So I'm gonna draw them. You ready? 1 and 2. Now I'm gonna have my eraser ready because I'm gonna do some quick erasing. Now some of you might have an eraser on the back of your pencil. Mine's almost gone, so I'm gonna use this guy right here. Now I'm gonna erase this line in between my diagonal lines. That way it looks like the tree branch is growing away. Now I'm gonna go down and add another pair of lines. Notice my line goes all the way off the edge. Now I erase right in between those two. Now I'm gonna do the other side and add some branches here. But they're gonna stop when they reach another tree. So, okay. Now remember, I always erase when it's next to my tree trunk. That way it looks like it's growing from this tree. And look, it stops at that one. Okay. So I'm gonna keep adding more and more branches on each side of my big tree trunk. And whenever I see another tree, I stop. And I always erase where my tree and my branch meet. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then we will get to add patterns. Right, so now I'm gonna switch to marker. And if you don't have a marker, you can use a pencil or a dark crayon. So whichever one you want. Today, I'm gonna use a Sharpie marker. So I'm gonna twist off the cap, put them on the back, and I'm gonna do what's called outlining. Outlining means you're gonna trace the lines that you drew to make them bold and dark. So I'm gonna take my Sharpie and I'm gonna follow and cover those pencil lines. Look how dark it is now. So I'm gonna go around and outline everything so it's nice and crisp. Now, if I erase somewhere, I'm gonna leave that erased, and I'm not going to trace over anything that I erased. We'll keep that there. Okay. So now my trees are outlined. Now for some fun. Now for patterns. And a pattern is when you repeat something. You can repeat a line or a shape. So I'm gonna practice on my scrap paper and show you what I mean. So this is my scrap paper. I use it for all kinds of things. And I'm gonna make some patterns. So I'm gonna zoom in so I can make some patterns with you. So I'm gonna start with a line, just like that. Now right now, that's not a pattern, it's just a line. In order to make it into a pattern, I have to draw it again, and again, and again. That's called a simple pattern because it's one line that repeats. Now you can also do this with shapes too. So I can start with a shape, and draw another one, and another one. That's also a simple pattern because it has one shape. Now I'm gonna make my pattern a little bit more complicated. This is called an A-B pattern. That means A is one line and B is a second line. And then I go back to A and then back to B. A and B, A and B. So that's an A-B pattern. And I'm gonna make this one into an A and B pattern too. So I'm gonna add some skinny rectangles in between. There we go, there's my patterns. So now I'm gonna make some on my branches. So time to zoom back out. And it's your turn to add some patterns. So here we go. So I'm done with my patterns. Now I get to add color. And you can add color with what you got. If you have crayons, use those. If you have markers, you can use those. But today, I'm gonna use paints. Now I've already prepped them already. I added a little bit of water in each one. That's why they're nice and shiny. And I have some water ready. It's a little dirty, but it's ready. And my paintbrushes. So I'm gonna add some color on top. I got my placemat to place under my paper so I don't ruin my other pages. And now I'm gonna add some colors on top. And I can use any colors I want. So I'm gonna use my brush, make sure it's nice and wet, tap on my color 3 times, and now I'm gonna start to paint and add color. All right, boys and girls, my fall tree landscape is all finished. Look at all those fun fall colors. I hope you guys had fun. I know I did. See you later.